Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Moncast. Today, I'm joined by the one and only Jeff Nimoy.
How are you, Stevie?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks, man. It's a beautiful day here in Los Angeles. 1 in the afternoon, sun is shining. You can't beat it.
It's like 9 p.m. here, so it's already dark.
Well, you can't go anywhere because there's a pandemic, but, it's beautiful.
Oh, and just so you know, Jeff, my pronouns are they, them, or she and her.
They, them. Okay.
You can tell me your pronouns as well if you like.
I'm he, all the way.
He all the way.
I've been heterosexual since I heard Donna Summer sing on the radio when I was 12 years old. That did it for me.
I'm not going to get into it, but like gender and sexuality are different things. But I'm not going to teach you about that now.
Well, let's say I knew I was a he at that moment.
Yeah. So, Jeff, please could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
I'm Jeff Nimoy. I'm a voice director, voice actor, producer, film director, film actor, film producer. I've done a lot of stuff, but I'm mostly known for Digimon, where I was the showrunner for 3 of the seasons and just a big part of the whole franchise. And I played quite a few characters, including Tentomon, Digivolve 2, Kabuterimon. Are you freaking out right now?
I'm screaming on the inside, Jeff.
I could hear that silent scream. I could hear that. Big pause told me everything I needed to know. How about Trigun? I'm also the voice of Wolfwood in Trigun. Are you a fan?
I did watch it, but it's been a few years.
Yeah.
I did watch it all the way through, though, and I remember really enjoying it. I watched the dub because I'm too lazy to read. That's basically it. It was during my teenage hardcore anime phase where I watched nothing but anime.
Well, that's the other thing I'm famous for, I would say. Famous for, as my movie says.
Yes, we will get onto your film. I did watch it once all the way through with only one break to get a sandwich. So.
That's great.
But yeah, we'll get to that later on.
Okay.
I've got a page and a bit of questions here. So we've got plenty to talk about.
As I say in my panels at anime conventions, rather than me talking and, giving a big intro, let's just start with the questions and it'll all come out sooner or later.
So you know what? The Moncast is supposed to be Digimon and Pokemon.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to get the obligatory one Pokemon question out of the way, and then we can get on to Digimon.
Better be a good one, because I used to fine people $1 if they said the P word during a recording of Digimon, so...
Really? I see. But yeah, just to get Pokemon out of the way, what is your favourite Pokemon?
Oh, I really don't have one. I have to admit, if you cut me, I believe Digimon. I don't know what color Digimon is, but, I'm Digimon all the way. The only time I ever had any interaction with Pokemon, I would say 2 things. One, the Digimon the movie the trailer for that was attached to the first Pokemon movie or the second Pokemon movie? I think the second Pokemon movie. And so when the trailer was out in theaters, I went one day and and saw, I paid for the Pokemon movie just to see the Digimon trailer, and I left right after the Digimon trailer ended. And the other thing was I was very friendly with, I don't know her stage name. Her real name is different.
Is it Veronica Taylor?
It is. That's not her real name.
Yeah. It's her stage name.
But Veronica and I got very friendly at a con one year, and then she moved to Los Angeles. And when she first got here, we were quite friendly, but we've lost touch. But we're still,
Yeah, she's in that pool of contacts that you've got.
Exactly. So other than that, Pokemon really does not affect my life, except, like I said, we would find people during the recording of Digimon $1. At the end, we had a little party.
Gotta say, that doesn't surprise me at all, because, even I slip up. I've been podcasting about both.
Well, I was also in a ratings war with them in the late 90s, early 2000s, so it's not like we were best friends.
Just they've got their fan base, we've got ours, and then I'm just why if I just try and do both anyway?
Well, a lot of people do. A lot of people cross over, and, it's fine. There's something for everybody out there. Yeah,
it's our, unique selling point is we do Digimon and a bit of Pokemon as well. We try and treat them fairly, but usually Digimon wins anyway.
Well, today it will definitely win. It will be not even contested today.
So we've covered Digimon Adventure and Digimon Adventure 02. So we've got like the final results for Digimon versus Pokemon already for those two series. Digimon came out on top Series 1.
Woohoo!
I think it won like 28-24 or something like that.
Oh, it's close. Too close for me. Yeah.
It was close, but Digimon just came through at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But with Digimon Adventure 02, it did actually tie with Pokemon.
Well, if you count only the legal votes, Digimon won in a landslide, okay? Believe me.
Yeah, so overall, Digimon's winning.
That's a little American joke. Sorry, that's doing RX.
I thought it sounded like Trump. So yeah, you do well with your track record for Digimon. We've not got up to the third one you've done yet, which is it Savers?
I worked on Digimon Data Squad after season 2. I took a break. I left for 2 seasons and then came back to do Digimon Data Squad.
Yes, sorry, Savers and Data Squad are the same thing. It's just because they got localized.
But also, before that, there was Revenge of Diaboromon. That was actually the return to Digimon for me. There were all these spin-off movies that came around 2005, 2006.
Okay, so was Revenge of Diaboromon, was that like one thing you did and then there was a few years before Data Squad started?
No, it started pretty much right after that, yeah. Not at the same time. It started, within a year. And I actually, I took the job of Digimon Data Squad because I missed Digimon, and I really just did not want anyone else to work on Digimon. I didn't want them to give it to someone else. And I left Naruto, which I was directing at the time, and I left to do Digimon Data Squad. And it was one of the worst business decisions I ever made in my life because Digimon Data Squad lasted 50 episodes, and Naruto, I think, is still going on, or it lasted about 11 seasons and then spun off to other things. So I could have been rich.
Just Naruto never ends. Whereas Digimon's like, okay, 50 episodes, then we start from scratch. Naruto's
That's
just
right.
like, let's just keep
New
going.
New plot, new characters, new plot, everything, right.
I imagine that must have been like one of the exciting things. Like, well, the questions I've got here is, what were the biggest changes between the first and second seasons of Digimon Adventure?
Well, the cast was a big thing. I mean, we were kind of shocked that they would take such a chance on such a popular series and pretty much throw away all the characters and start from scratch. So that was the big thing. Also, when we cast the second season, we also cast the movie at the same time because we were working on both season 2, 02, and the movie simultaneously. So it was a lot of work while I was doing the movie at the same time. Imagine you're doing a full-time series and a full-time movie. So I was working about 20 hours a day every day, and I was exhausted when it was over.
And like the film's famous for being a bit of just a mashup of actually multiple films associated.
They made 3 movies in Japan, and they told me and my partner at the time, Bob Buchholz, we needed to make it into one coherent movie, and that was very difficult as well. Only because of the third part, actually. The first 2 parts, I thought, blended very nicely together. But then, again, you introduce 8 new characters with 20 minutes to go into the movie. It can get a little confusing. But that's a battle I lost. I wrote a whole blog about it, very long blog. It's the 20th anniversary. So I wrote a very long blog of all my memories of it, and I go into that decision in depth in the blog. I don't want to go into it now because it's a very long story, but it was a battle. I'll tell you, it was a battle on to keep that third part or not. And I lost that fight, obviously, but I tried to do the best I could.
Yeah, and it's still an enjoyable film. I will go back and watch it, and even now I still think its soundtrack is like just outstanding.
They did a great job with licensing that music. But I was so exhausted after season 2 and the movie was over. That's why I left Digimon. It was just too much work at that point, and I was burnt out. I didn't want to work in anime anymore. I just wanted to do something different at that point.
Well, with Digimon, you were doing multiple roles, essentially, weren't you? Because you were directing, writing, voice acting, voice directing.
Yeah, the voice acting part didn't take much time at all. But the writing and directing obviously took the most time. And the movie as well. So I was just burnt out. And I don't think I came back to anime until I started writing on Sunny Pig around 2002, maybe. And then I really went into it with Zatch Bell. I was the showrunner of that as well. Wrote most episodes, directed all of them.
I think every career has like its twists and turns. Mine's just getting started. Like I'm only recently getting into radio.
Uh-huh.
So I'm learning about making a pool of contacts and stuff like that.
Well, you got a good voice for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've completely lost track of my questions because I'm bouncing all over the place.
Well, the last question you asked before I rambled on was the differences between season 1 and season 2.
And honestly, like, I guess coming back to Data Squad a few years later,
Yeah.
that would have been would it have been a completely different cast and crew who was still there?
Well, Digimon Data Squad was my favorite of them all to work on because I pretty much had carte blanche to do what I wanted. I could cast who I wanted. And I even reached out to the fans for a lot of casting suggestions. It was just a great cast. There were new characters, of course, but there was also like Agumon was back, but I just didn't think this Agumon had the same personality as the original Agumon. So I cast someone else, and that was hard because one of my best friends is Tom Fawn, who played Agumon, and I had to tell him, sorry, you're out. And I cast Brian Beacock instead. But I just had a vision for Digimon Data Squad. Here's the other thing. When I was working on seasons 1 and 2, we didn't get the whole series right off the bat. We only got about a month at a time. So we couldn't really prepare that often, and we couldn't really set something up that was going to pay off in 8 weeks because we didn't know what was coming in 8 weeks. But Digimon Data Squad, the entire series was done already before I got my hands on it. So I had a really good pre-production time to plan and plot and lay little Easter eggs at the beginning that would pay off later on at the end, things like that. So that was the biggest difference. And I just loved the cast I had, and they left me alone. Whereas on Digimon, the original first 2 series, it was such a monster hit because it was on Fox Kids, which they were in so many households. And, when a show is that big, you have a lot of hands and a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and they all want to put their stamp on it. They all want to take credit for the success. And there's just a lot of interference from all sides. Whereas Digimon Data Squad was on a Disney cable channel, XD maybe, Disney
XD sounds right.
Yeah, so it was not in as many households, and Disney just kind of trusted me, In fact, before we meaning Studiopolis, which is the production company that did it, the head of Studiopolis, Jamie Simone, who I'd worked with over at Fox Kids, said to me, hey, you're the Digimon guy, right? And I said, yeah, I'm the Digimon guy. And he said, good, because I just told Disney when I bid on Digimon, I have the Digimon guy. So I said, yeah, good, okay. So Jamie didn't know Digimon either. So they just trusted me to know Digimon, and I really got to do it my way, exactly my way. So it was just all the cast I wanted, all the storylines I wanted. I had to get some approval for the major roles from Toei Animation. Anytime I said I really wanted this one, they said, Jeffrey-san, we're not going to fight you on this.
Yeah, that answered a bunch of my questions already.
I know when you've interviewed other Digimon actors, they just don't have the wealth of information of the behind the scenes that I have because, actors show up, they do 2 hours and leave. I've got all the stories.
So you're saying this might as well be the last episode of this series, and it's just there's no point. It doesn't get any better than this.
When I do a Digimon panel, like I did one in Dragon Con with Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who played Sora, and Josie, and Joshua Seth, who played Tara Sands, who was in the Tri series. Whenever there was a question about, any kind of backstage Digimon or Digimon origin question, every head on the panel turns to me to answer it. So I answer a disproportionate amount of questions when they do combination Digimon panels.
Yeah, because you've got your fingers in all the pies.
Yeah, I'm the only one who knows the answer to some of those questions.
You sound a lot like me, actually, with my own podcast. Behind the scenes, I do pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone, asks for anything that's not just I'm recording on the podcast, they have to come to me.
Well, it's the perfect job for a control freak.
Yeah, it's also an awful job for a stress head. I'm quite laid back, fortunately.
Luckily, I enjoy producing and directing because it's so crazy. It's such a maddening scene where you're juggling 2,000 things at once, and I can stay calm under those circumstances. It wasn't always that way, but sometimes actors actually don't understand that. They think it's all about them. Mark Hamill talks about this perfectly on Star Wars. He's only worried about his performance, and then he goes to the director, and the director's worried about 2,000 things, and Mark Hamill's one of the last things they're looking at because they trust Mark Hamill to be Mark Hamill, you know? So it's the same with Digimon or anything I'm directing. I'm listening to the music, I'm listening to the sound effects, I'm interested in the story, and I'm trusting that the actor is going to do their job too.
Yeah, and this is why producers and basically the people in charge is so important to just make sure everything happens.
Right, exactly.
With that, I wanted to ask, just in case you aren't aware, Digimon Adventures currently got a reboot airing.
Oh yeah? I did not know that.
Didn't know that? Well, I get to break the news to you then. Digimon Adventure : as the fans are calling it, because it just has a colon at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's been airing for about 20-something weeks now.
Is it the same characters, the same timeline, but just new stories?
Pretty much. So they've brought back everyone from the original Adventure series. So Tai, Matt, Sora, Izzy. I'm sure you know all the names.
Yeah.
I don't need to list them all for you. We'd be here all day anyway. But yeah, it's bringing back that original cast with this new series in 2020 and like changing a few things.
How's the animation look?
It's up and down. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it's not as great. Whether that's because of, coronavirus and stuff interfering with how much time they have for each episode, I don't know. The animation's pretty great, especially in like the opening arc, of course, where it's super important to make a good impression.
Yeah.
There's quite a few big differences. You'll remember Omnimon.
Omnimon, of course, yeah. It's a combination of two different Digimon.
Yeah, of course. Only appears originally after like 2 full seasons have passed and there's a film. In this new reboot, Omnimon appears in episode 3.
Well, they might as well bring the most powerful one out right away. It's like using your queen in chess, I guess, bring it out.
Yeah, but then they bring it straight back down to rookie level. So it's a bit crazy, this new series. We have no idea what's going on.
Right, because
basically.
after 3 episodes in the original, they didn't even know they could digivolve into those kind of... I don't think they were sure they could leave the rookie level at that point.
No, by episode 3, they'd already had Greymon and Garurumon.
Oh, wow.
I know the first batch of episodes too well, just because those are the ones I had on VHS back in the early 2000s, so those are the ones I watched on loop. But anyway, yeah, this new series is out. It's going on for like 60 episodes or something daft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite long for a Digimon series. So with Digimon getting a reboot this year, I just wanted to ask... Obviously I'm not offering, because I don't have that power.
Oh, I wish you did.
Imagine if I did, that'd be great. Would you take a chance to direct or write an English dub of this new rebooted series?
Well, like I said, after 5 years of no Digimon, which was 7 years for me because I left after season 2, I missed it, and I just did not want anyone else to work on Digimon when it came back. I just felt a fatherly, feeling towards it, So I left a very successful show, Naruto, and went to a very unsuccessful show, Digimon Data Squad, just because of my love for Digimon. So after that, my answer was always, if asked to be a part of Digimon, I will serve. And just recently, when Digimon Adventure Last Evolution Kazuna came out, they offered me the script to write, to adapt into English. It was a real thrill to write that again. And, I tried to give the fans a classic Digimon experience with that one. But if they asked me to direct it, I certainly would have. I also returned to do some voices. I returned to do voices in Try. And if this new Digimon reboot happens in English, in America, and they asked me, I would drop everything to do it. In any capacity they wanted me to do, and all capacities. If they wanted me to do it all, I'd do it all. If they wanted me just to voice, I'd just voice, So Digimon will be on my tombstone one day, hopefully a very long time from now. And if anyone wants me to be a part of Digimon in the future, I'll certainly join the team, or run the team, whatever they want.
Or both.
Or be a one-man show. I'll do every voice at this point.
I'm sure you do a great job as well.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
So yeah, I'm sure you'd feel the same way about resuming the role of Tentomon if it got an English dub as well.
Well, Tentomon's been played by other people too, so you never know. They might replace me. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to play Tentomon. I wrote him all the comedy lines, because why not? And I love the little red fella.
It was the same thing with Laura Summer, where you sort of get a connection with the Digimon you're voicing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I asked Laura if you could voice any other Digimon, who would you voice? She's just like, no, I just wouldn't voice anyone else. Patamon is mine, and don't need another character to voice. How do you feel about Tentomon, though? Would you like to voice a different Digimon?
Well, as long as I was also playing Tentomon, yes, I'd like to voice additional Digimon is really the way I should answer that. But I actually auditioned for Davis and did not Davis, I'm sorry, Matt, and I did not get the Matt role. So nice to play a human, but I was very happy in Try when Young Jedi came back with such an evil character to play. It was great playing a bad guy. So that was very nice. So, but yeah, I would love to play some kind of meaty human role. Tentomon's enough for the Digimon right now for me.
I've just got to bring it up at some point. On your IMDb page, it does say that you voiced Truck Driver Number 1 in Digimon the movie as well.
Yeah.
It's just funny seeing little bit roles like that.
It's funny, when the credits came out like that, I did not think they were going to list every credit, every little line in the movie that I did, because Bob Buchholz and I did like 20 roles or something, just little one-liners here and there, Truck Driver 1 and 2 were Bob and myself, and we were driving late at night, and we were like, did you see that giant Digimon? He goes, I thought you were driving. Oh, no, I was asleep. He goes, you're driving! That sort of thing, right? That's what it was.
I can remember the exact clip now as well, but yeah, now that you say the lines. That's probably a good point to go into Famish, because that reminds me of the bit in Famish where you're like talking with Lex Lang, and he's remembering lines from years and years ago.
Exactly, yeah.
Our voice actors actually like that, where they remember scripts from...
I put that in the movie. That's an actual conversation Lex Lang and I had one day, and that's why I put that in the movie. Lex was, in fact, the first actor I ever hired when I had an opportunity to hire. I was doing a pilot for Fox Kids, the first show I ever created. I wanted an Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Rita Acosta Magicott was the producer of this particular show. She introduced me to Lex, and I hired him. And, we put it in the movie, pretty much. Let me set the scene for your audience a little bit. We're backstage at an anime convention. Famish is about, sort of this washed-up voice director who goes to an anime convention for the money and, sort of rediscovers his fame and his sort of purpose in life. But he meets Lex Lang backstage, and my character hasn't worked in forever, and he sees Lex, and he says, you're the first voice actor I ever hired. And he goes, what? Was that Arnold Schwarzenegger thing? So then I just threw him in different things for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be. In the actual show, it was called Chimp Lips Theater. He was Gulliver. It was a takeoff on Gulliver's Travels, and we had him as Arnold Schwarzenegger. But in the movie, Famish, I said, yeah, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger as a short order cook, and he did a little bit. No, that's not barbecue sauce's blood. Come on. And then in the next take, I said, yeah, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger as a three-ring circus master. He said, yes, this next act is wonderful. Is a poodle that dances. It's fantastic. And we just did that take after take. Lex is such a talented guy. Lex has music in the movie too, and Lex also helped me quite a bit with the script. When he read the script when I offered him the role, he said, I have some notes for you. And I welcomed them, and I kept almost everything he suggested. Really great, including I don't want to give it away because it's such a big reveal in the movie, but let's just say his daughter. Lex came up with a little trick for naming his daughter, I don't want to give anything else away.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it either.
But originally, that daughter was not named what she was, and we changed her name. So,
see, I didn't see it coming, but then it made perfect sense when it happened. It absolutely caught me off guard. Just like, oh,
yeah, right.
This makes it so much worse. Oh no!
In a good way, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, my character is not the most. He's got some moral issues at the beginning.
Yeah, like watching the film, I found the sense of humor. It actually struck me as quite British, because like we love just sort of being a bit like self-deprecating or just having awkward situations.
Well, British humor has had a huge influence on me over the years, starting when I was very young, watching Monty Python on public TV. It was not on a regular station; it was on the public channel, PBS, what they call it, public broadcasting, like Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and Friday nights at 7:30 they would have Monty Python, and they were, you know, a little titillating, and I had to like hide from my mother that I was actually watching this, and I was kind of obsessed with Monty Python for a long time.
Yeah, well, they make funny stuff. Like, I've seen Life of Brian and Holy Grail like a few times each at this point.
I think Life of Brian was voted best comedy in British history.
It wouldn't surprise me. It definitely has one of the best credit songs. So, I don't know how awkward the question is to ask, but...
Well, we'll find out.
How much of you in the film, like, as a character, is a parody version of yourself?
I would say 15% of it, 15, is real. Everything else is fiction.
Okay.
But a lot of it is based on things, based on stories that happened to me at anime conventions or happened to other people.
But it's dialed up to 11 for the character.
Exactly. and here's the other thing. You know, my character is a bit of a playboy, you know, and at the beginning, you know, he's up for anything. And I personally, Jeff Nimoy, had a reputation because I'm a bit of a flirt and what have you, but I had a bit of a reputation as that. He'd get drunk at conventions, he'd hit on every girl, he'd sleep all around, and you know, none of it was true. You know, well, not none of it, but certainly the worst of the worst was not even close to being true. I did actually wind up in a relationship with someone who was a fan that became a voiceover person, and that's when we started a relationship. But unfortunately, she's no longer with us. Very sad.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. But, you know, I really did not sleep around a lot at these conventions. But in the movie, my character never hesitated to sleep around at conventions.
The character of Jeff Nimoy in the film is sort of a little bit of an anti-hero. Like, he starts off and he's a bit of like a playboy. He seems to be addicted to Xanax, which I don't even know what sort of medicine that is. It sounds like an American brand, like headaches or something.
Yeah, Xanax is a tranquilizer.
It's a tranquilizer.
Well, it's more of a mood stabilizer, tranquilizer. It calms you down.
Yeah.
And if you take too many of them, you'll be a zombie.
I get you. But yeah, Jeff in the film, he definitely has issues, is the way I've written it down.
Right. The anti-hero thing is sort of my favorite thing. Any kind of like, you know, Breaking Bad or Mad Men, those are my favorite type of shows. The Sopranos. You know, the anti-hero is my favorite thing, and I think Wolfwood from Trigun in many ways is an anti-hero. So that's sort of what I gravitate to, and that's why I made my character an anti-hero as well.
And I don't want to spoil the moments again, but yeah, Wolfwood does come into it in the film.
Well, it's in the poster, you know, you won't be spoiling it, but just a little teaser, I do wind up cosplaying as my own character, Wolfwood, which also is kind of like frowned upon from the anime voice actor community.
Is it? I would have thought it'd be encouraged.
If the actor is also an anime fan, perhaps, but usually it seems a little too egotistical. You're honoring yourself, you know, you're paying homage to your own good job, you know, that's how I think it's looked at a little bit, which is why in the movie I actually say it's looked down upon, and then when I do it, I'm like, oh, I'm even lower than I thought I could stoop before. I'm even lower than that.
It really is just like hits rock bottom and then he climbs his way back up in the second half. But yeah, I'm just going to tell you what I thought of the film overall.
Yeah, please.
I genuinely really enjoyed watching it.
Thank you.
It put a smile on my face throughout.
That's great.
It's like just this little drop of light-hearted fun.
Right. It's a fun little movie. That's how I describe it to people. It's a fun little movie.
And like I looked at the behind the scenes article you shared and saying most of this was filmed in like 6 days.
You're right. 80% of the movie was shot in 6 days, and all the fan stuff were in 3 days during the actual live convention that we were working at.
Yeah, it was really like whipped together. Well,
you say it's whipped together. It took a year to plan that whipping together. You know, it had to be done. It was timed down to the minute, to the second, and sometimes. You know, we really had a well-oiled run machine where we had to be out of a room at 2:00 or, you know, the Naruto panel was coming in. You know, we had to get out of that room.
It's honestly just really impressive that there's a film at all at the end of it. Just so much work clearly went into this.
Thanks so much.
And yeah, just like, I think it actually adds to the charm that it was made the way it was, just because it brings it back down to earth and makes it feel just that much more genuine.
It would not have the same authentic feel if we shot it in a soundstage, if we recreated an anime convention in a soundstage. It wouldn't have that same fluorescent light, you know, hotel convention center type of looking room, you know.
And like the environment would just be much more sterile, but you can tell that everyone on the film's having fun when they're performing.
And we used actual fans as extras too, which was great. You know, they did their own cosplay, and if a costumer did it, it wouldn't have the same authenticity.
Yeah, and it all just works out for a really good convention film.
And especially during these times when, you know, we haven't had a convention since, you know, March here in the States. So if you miss cons, it's really a great film for you to just, you know, for 94 minutes to remember what it was like and just the fun of it all.
Yeah, I've not been to a convention in a few years. Last one I went to was in London or something, probably in 2016 maybe. So this was a little nostalgia dive into that atmosphere, where at the convention, basically, instead of anime being the thing that's frowned upon and like you don't really share it or whatever, just like anime is that world. And yeah, it's just a very unique setting for a film in general.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Steve.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to watch it without having to pay as well. That was a nice bonus.
You're welcome. Don't share that private link I gave you.
I will not. Don't worry. For some reason, I was the first person to like that private linked video.
Well, because it's private, you know. Am I right? Most people are not liking it. They know I'm the only one seeing it. But Stevie, now everyone's going to try to get a podcast and invite me so they can see the movie for free.
Well, isn't that what you want? It'll help promote the film more.
Yeah, I would. You're right. I'd rather have 2 million people see it for free than 2,000 people pay and see it.
I've got one last question on Famish, which is, what sort of challenges arose with COVID when it came to actually releasing this film inspired by something that basically isn't happening at the moment?
Well, I also I wrote a little article about that too. I don't know if you saw that in my blogs, but if you go to Jeff Nimoy blog, I'm not hard to find. But the movie was coming out video on demand on, let's say it's May 12th. And before that, I was looking into all these conventions to attend and promote. And we were going to Comic-Con in San Diego and Dragon Con in Atlanta and MomoCon in Atlanta. And we were talking to quite a few conventions to promote the movie. And then, boom, COVID happened. And that was it. They were either online or scrapped altogether. And it just wasn't in the plans to have a screening and a Q&A online, you know. So we decided to postpone or what have you. And then the movie comes out, and I pre-ordered it on Apple TV. And all of a sudden, here it comes. It's on TV. I'm like, wow, my movie. Here's my face on TV, you know. It's here. And I'm alone in my apartment. I've got no one to celebrate with. And should I get some champagne and drink it alone? You know, I don't know what to do. It was so anticlimactic. It was bittersweet for sure. You know? So it was just all, you know, crazy. But, you know, the good news is with a little film like this, especially where I think it will live forever, are at anime conventions and Comic-Cons, because, you know, we could show this for the next 10, 20 years. And I think a film like this, it doesn't hurt it that much, because as soon as we start going to conventions to promote it, it'll find a new audience, those who didn't see it on video on demand. And it'll just keep growing. And, you know, hopefully it'll also be on like a Netflix or an HBO or Showtime, Amazon Prime, you know what I mean? So I think a movie like this, it wasn't going to have a $50 million opening weekend anyway. It's a small film. I think it's going to still be okay once we get the conventions going again. You know, but certainly I missed that first initial premiere. You know? However, before COVID, I got to have a movie premiere in a movie theater for friends and family only.
Oh, that's good.
That was quite nice, and there was 300 people in a movie theater and popcorn and the whole thing. You know, it's a total popcorn movie. So we had the whole audience there. I got a standing ovation, which I'll never forget. You know, and the Q&A afterwards was just people. You know, you could tell they genuinely loved it. They weren't just kissing my butt. You know what I mean? They were genuinely. They just liked it. It's a fun movie. It's hard not to like. I say it like this little fun movie, but it's about this raging alcoholic, you know. I like to that's another bit of my style, talking about the anti-hero. I like to write about really serious subjects in a really commercial way, you know. So like the movie Arthur, featuring Britain's Dudley Moore and John Gielgud. Do you remember this movie at all?
I don't think I've seen it.
It's about a millionaire alcoholic. It was like 1982, way before you were born. But it's just one of the funniest movies of all time. But it's about this really serious subject. And, same with me, in this movie, I don't know if it's the funniest movie of all time, but it's just this really serious subject told in a really funny way. And that was a big inspiration for me, that movie, Arthur.
Yeah, I like to approach anything creative, like writing, things like that, in a similar sort of way. Mm-hmm. Taking, often quite heavy or dark subjects.
Yeah, dark, right, exactly.
But just, reframing them so it's a bit more lighthearted and just less, I guess, taxing to think about. So you don't come out of it thinking oh, well, that was miserable. It's more fun to have sort of a happy song singing about, don't kill yourself. So, yeah, I'm on the same wavelength there. It's definitely...
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny movie, but it deals with very serious issues,
Yeah, depression's in there, drug addiction.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll cry a little bit watching it too. Exactly, right. I try to tug on the heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely got me in places. But a lot of things make me cry at the moment. So, Famish. What's it on? Is it on Vimeo? I don't know what else is available on, but... It's
on everywhere. It's if you just go to famousmovie.com or jeffnimoy.com, it will show you everywhere. It's on almost every video on demand platform, including PlayStation.
Even PlayStation?
Yeah, wherever you watch movies. It's got a worldwide distribution. It's on Amazon England, it's there, UK rather, iTunes, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, PlayStation, Fandango, Vimeo, On Demand, Microsoft, AT&T. It's everywhere.
It's better distributed than Digimon Last Evolution Kazuna.
I have a better distributor, sorry.
I'm pretty certain Kazuna's already out in America, but over here in the UK, it's just still waiting.
Check out Famish in the meantime. And it's also starring Brian Donovan, who was Davis in 02.
It took me a while to piece together that was him.
Yeah, well, I had him say, Digi-Armor Energize!
And then I got it. I think I got Brian Donovan's name mixed up with... Is it Brian Beacock?
Brian Beacock, yeah.
Yeah, who is Takato, I think?
Well, that's a season I did not work on, yeah, but...
Yeah, I think he did other Digimon characters beforehand, maybe?
I directed him in Digimon Data Squad as Agumon. Different Agumon.
The one with the wrist straps?
Yes.
Because it's cooler. That's how it works. If you've got wrist straps, you're just naturally cooler.
Exactly.
Than just bog standard dinosaur.
I'm wearing them now.
Well, yeah, who isn't? If you're not wearing wrist straps, you need to get on it. Okay, you're missing out on the latest trend.
Stevie, we are going to start a trend, you and I.
What do you mean start? It's been going for years, hasn't it?
At Comic-Con, yes.
So, I am running out of questions, unfortunately.
Uh-oh. Well, I'm running out of patience. It's the perfect time.
Natural response being with me for more than 5 minutes.
I'm just a kidder. This is very enjoyable. I love going down memory lane.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this so far. Still time for it to go horribly wrong, but we'll try not to do that.
Well, I appreciate you watching Famish, I'll tell you. It's the biggest passion project of my life, and I really did not start off doing it to even get seen. I did it because I was very sick at one point in my life. In 2017, doctors found a brain tumor, and luckily I had very successful surgery, but I almost died. And with a new lease on life, I decided I'm not going to wait anymore for permission to make a movie. Because in Hollywood, you have to, get financing. You have to attach people. It could take a long time to make a movie. And I've worked on projects for 5 years that never even happened because you couldn't get the right, combinations of network, studio, directors, producers, actors involved. I just decided I'm not waiting anymore. So I thought, what movie can I make for the lowest amount of money? What are my assets? And I said, well, my celebrity is a major asset. So I wrote a movie about a washed-up voice director who goes to an anime convention for the money. And I cast other anime actors in it. And we all attended the convention. We went as a package to the convention as programming for the convention of, hey, be in a movie. But my pitch to all the people involved, like Lex Lang and Brian Donovan, Jonathan Fahn, and all the crew and cast, and my pitch to them was the same. I'm tired of asking for permission to make a movie. And if you're tired too, join me. Now, I have no money. And I don't know if anyone will ever see this movie. And I can't even guarantee you it'll be good. All I can tell you is I'm tired of asking for permission. And Lex Lang was the first to say yes. And a few people turned me down, by the way, before I approached Lex about different things, not his role in particular. But Lex said yes. And I started crying. I said, Lex, you're the first person to say yes. He said, don't worry. The right people will say yes. And sure enough, it happened. Lex is a bit of a magical person, I have to tell you. He's a certified meditation teacher. And
Wow.
He studied with the greatest of them all. And he just has insight to the universe. I can't explain it any other way. But he's a supernatural person and super talented as well. And he said the right people showed up. And I just knew when Lex said yes, I just knew it would all come together. I just knew it. And I, went full steam ahead. And when it was over, luckily, it was good. And luckily, people have seen it. And luckily, they liked it so much. And then the right people saw it because it got an international distribution deal. And we launched May 12th. And it's doing very well on pay-per-view. And among other categories, too, like romantic comedies even, that have nothing to do with anime. It's just a miracle that this movie came out as good as it did and is getting the audience it's getting. And hopefully will continue to get for many, many years.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a passion project. And when the person leading it is driven by passion, everyone else that comes on board will just, take that little bit of passion on themselves.
I think you're right. Jonathan Fahn calls it sharing the madness.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your madness with us.
You constantly hear little stories like that, like Star Trek, an actual give a speech, and then everyone else be like, oh, okay, so I can put a little bit extra in.
Yeah, and I just recently saw making of the Star Wars trilogy documentary, and George Lucas said, a lot of directing is bending people to your will, not in an evil way like using the dark force, but your currency is your story, your passion, and you say, this is what I'm doing, and I want you to do it with me. And it'll either resonate with them or it won't. Like, for instance, the cinematographer, the director of photography, the reason he gave me was because, I'm playing a fictional character named Jeff Nimoy. I'm not Jeff Nimoy in the movie, as are the other actors. They're not really Brian Donovan. It's like, Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm or the Trip movies in Britain. They're not really those people in real life. So Steve Coogan, not really Steve Coogan in those movies. He's playing a character based on Steve Coogan, that's, again, you heighten the heights and you lower the lows. So I'm playing this character, and the cinematographer was a big anime fan. He said, but just to be sure, you did direct Naruto, right? You did do the voices of Tentomon, right? You were the showrunner on Digimon. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's why I want to do this movie, because it's like a weird combination of fiction and reality.
There's just enough of the actual Jeff Nimoy in there to sort of add credibility to the rest of the character and the story.
Well, what resonated with him was I wasn't saying my name is Bob Cooper and I directed a show called Boo Boo Baba. I'm guessing there is an anime called Boo Boo Baba.
It's like Bo 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 Bo.
Which I wrote.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I said that, he wouldn't have been as interested, But the fact that we were, using reality in a way to further the story, he liked that very much, and that's why he joined it. And to tell you the truth, the reason I also called myself Jeff Nimoy and Brian Donovan and Lex Lang as Lex Lang, because we were at a live convention and there was a very good chance someone might run up in the middle of a scene and ask for an autograph. And I didn't want to be Bob Cooper when someone said, Mr. Nimoy, sign this. And also there were signs everywhere, and there was the program everywhere. And I didn't want to accidentally get a shot of Jeff Nimoy when I'm playing Bob Cooper. So I just said, let's just pull a Larry David. Let's just pull a Steve Coogan and do it. But of course now everyone comes up to me, did you really have those problems? Did you really do that on the soundboard?
But did you really do that on the soundboard?
I really did not.
That's good to hear. I mean, they brought you back in for Data Squad, so...
Yeah, but figuratively, I might have done that to a producer. And I did not work for them for a very long time. So I changed that story to something else.
It's a very funny film.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Just a couple final things then, I guess. So, I asked Laura when she was on to say, Patamon says, thank you for listening to the Moncast, bye-bye. So I think it's only fair I ask Tentomon to say something like that as well. I can have a bit of variety at the end of the episodes. So, I'll give you your line in the Zoom chat.
Okay.
It's an easy line, hopefully.
You're writing for me now. I usually write for the Digimon cast. You're writing for the Digimon cast now.
Yeah, I'm writing for a Digimon voice actor. How cool's that?
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Me. No vocal warm-up. Hold on. Hello, this is Tentomon. Thank you for listening to the Moncast. Bye-bye.
Yeah, first take.
One take Nimoy. That's what I call me.
Do they actually call you that?
No, I call me that because I don't have the patience.
Because you're directing yourself.
They do call me one take Nimoy. Not because I do it one take, because I usually take the first take from the actor when I'm directing.
Ah, that's interesting. When you were voice acting Tentomon and you were also directing, did you direct yourself or did you have someone else to do it?
I did it, always.
You must be super used to listening to your own voice anyway.
Well, when I'm writing it too, I'm writing the thing, and to make sure the line I wrote fits in the character's mouth, I usually impersonate that character or do my own voice. So I know it's going to fit and I know the way I want to hear it. So if I'm directing it, I've done it millions of times at that point. Not millions, but quite a bit, So I'm very fast when I direct myself. Also, I don't talk back to myself, so it's very good. But I'm also not just slap down anything, of course. If I'm not satisfied with myself, I give myself another take.
So, did the voices of Tentomon and then the Digivolutions all come at the same time for you, or did you make them up as each character, I guess, appeared?
As each character came, we did a new voice for it, and but we didn't have them all three. Again, on Data Squad, I did. So at that point, I did show them all. But first, it was Tentomon, of course, for me. Josh Seth played his smaller version. I can't remember.
Motimon, yeah.
Yeah, Motimon.
Wait, so Tai is Motimon?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And Tai was the original Tentomon as well. But the whole show started sounding like Josh. So they said, we're going to have to take some roles away from you. So I started playing Tentomon in his first big episode, whatever that was. I can't remember.
Yeah, it would have been episode 5, I think. I think that's the same one Kabuterimon appears. His first big episode where it's focused on Tentomon a bit more.
So when I did Kabuterimon, rather, for the first time, I just did sort of a generic monster voice, not knowing he was going to get even bigger. So I went, Tentomon, Digivolve 2, Kabuterimon. And then next is Kabuterimon, Digivolve 2. I can't go any bigger than this. I just had nothing left. So I just said, well, let me sort of do a whispery thing that could still be intimidating, like Clint Eastwood, Mega Kabuterimon. And then for Hercules Kabuterimon and Try, I'm like, I've got literally nowhere to go now. So, but because his name was Hercules, I'm like, well, why not just make him like ancient heroic Greek sounding, Hercules Kabuterimon, and that's easy on my voice. Much easier than the monsters before.
Hercules Kabuterimon sounds just like a dramatic version of Kabuterimon.
I hate when he has dialogue. That's the worst.
What, Hercules Kabuterimon in particular?
No, when Mega Kabuterimon has... I can't talk like this for long. That's...
The raspiness in the voice.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Hercules, I can talk all day. That's an easy one for me.
I don't know if you've seen My Hero Academia, but that reminds me of All Might, who's like the big, bold superhero.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm generally out of questions now. So, Jeff, what would you like to plug? Plug your stuff.
Well, Famish is really the only thing I'm plugging right now. And it's available, like I said, on all video on demand platforms. And I hope they see it. And I really would love to visit England one day, or any part of Great Britain, really, especially to do an anime convention and maybe a premiere, the European premiere of Famish. That would be great once this pandemic is over. So hopefully I'll be there. And if anyone has any ins at these conventions, please put in a good word for me.
I don't have that contact yet, I'm afraid. But if it gets set up, I'll definitely be there if I can be there. It has been fantastic talking to you for the past hour, however long it's been.
Thanks, Stevie.
It doesn't feel like it.
Great.
Honestly, just thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about Digimon.
You're welcome. And I'm really glad Digimon's still alive after all these years. It still has a life and new fans constantly, so it makes me feel really good that it has an afterlife.
Am I allowed to get soppy for a minute?
Sure, go for it.
So, Digimon is basically responsible for like most of my online friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's responsible for me getting into podcasting like almost 5 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically led me into my career now in radio.
That's awesome.
So yeah, like Digimon basically has been the basis for a lot of my friendships and even my career now. So most of my skills have come from working on just being passionate about Digimon. And yeah, you were basically instrumental in bringing that over to England and America and just English audiences in general. So yeah, thank you so much for being such a big part of the thing that I care about so much.
Thank you so much for that. That makes me feel great. That's the best part of my life these days is the influence maybe on younger people. And, you're the future. You're the future of everything, the world and entertainment and everything. And the older I get, the more I understand it's about inclusion. These anime conventions inspire me so much because I see these kids that maybe don't have friends outside of this, but they're walking gods, you know what I mean? And they just get to do what everyone else does and include everyone in as much as possible. Everyone deserves to be a part of this human experience. No one should be excluded from anything. So I'm really glad you've got friends that all came from Digimon, and soon you're going to have a career that gave you the confidence from Digimon. And I'm just so glad that myself and everyone else associated with the show can influence future generations, and I hope it keeps going.
Absolutely. Let's hope 2020 gets a dub, and maybe they'll bring you back in on it.
That would be another chapter of my life, a great third act.
Digimon for the third time.
All right, Stevie. Thanks again. Take care.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Everyone, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Hello, this is Tentomon. Thank you for listening to the Moncast. Bye-bye.